Hey everybody, welcome back to CALLOUS Draft Duel, the semifinals. You guys have already seen the drafts, but if you've not, go back and do that. Link in the description. And now we just have to play it out and see who will be in the finals and guaranteed money. Because if you've been following along, you know the top three in this tournament get paid out. Obviously, being in the finals means you're in the top three. And then there'll also, if you lose here, you're not eliminated. There will be a third place match between the two losing semifinalists to get 20% of the prize pool, which is the third place payout. Hey, speaking of the prize pool, it is not too late to donate. We've got over $500 right now. It'd be great to hit 6 by the end. Not necessary, but would be cool. If you feel like contributing and getting a late donation spark into this tournament, the way to do that is via PayPal donation link. You can find that in my Discord server in the donation section. And if you're not already in my Discord server, all you have to do is click the link in the description. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the action. Our first semifinal is Arctic and AustrianGeorge playing on Elka Hooligans as he has been throughout the tournament. Here is game one in their best of three. Arctic on the bottom is going to lead Espeon, met with Charizard by George, who's going to just stay in and immediately go for the Hail Mary overheat. Not going to do a lot with the resistance, however, into the incoming Slowbro. And Toxic there, one of the only things he could have done that Regice would have cared about. Maybe that or Focus Punch, but Toxic on Regice for free is pretty good. And so far, George has not shown any way to deal with that. He's also going to get his Champ crit on the way in. And Arctic stays in and body slams, which is pretty bold. And his bravery, if you want to call it that, gets paid off with both a para and a full para. He very well could have eaten a lethal cross chop there had that gone a different way. Psychic there, trying to hit probably the Machamp, but Regice not that exciting. T-Wave on Miltank shouldn't be the end of the world. It probably has Heal Bell, but I guess we haven't seen it yet, and it doesn't have to have Heal Bell. Just going to go for a slam, 31%. Another para. He's been pretty good with the added effect body slam paras. Full para kicks in, though, and then Wish comes down for Gardevoir. Espeon switching in. And Psychic, meh, 20%. Gardevoir keeps its own Wish, back up to a hundo. And the Calm Minds begin, and Espeon does, in fact, learn Baton Pass. Can maybe give that to a friend. That's what's going to happen, and the friend is going to be Magneton. Vaporeon's going to be very careful. Or not. Or George can completely outplay Arctic there by roaring on a sub. That was a huge penis move for George. That was just a soul read. High risk, but damn high reward. Should George go on to win this game, that turn might be a very, very big part of how and why. Gardevoir coming into Slowbro now. Psychic, yeah. Calm Mind coming down, so we've got multiple Calm Minders here. But Thunderbolt will kill him through Calm Mind. So the first knockout goes the way of George, 6-5 with him in the lead. Magneton now. Okay dent into such a high special defense on Regice, 25%, but Toxic is a big part of this. And without a freeze, which he doesn't get, he should die to the follow-up Thunderbolt, should he stay in. But Arctic actually pulls it back. That's interesting. I wonder what would have happened if he just Thunderbolts there. I wonder why he didn't just Thunderbolt there. George hadn't shown a damn thing that would even resist the Thunderbolt, never mind be immune to it. And as it turns out, George actually doesn't even have a Thunderbolt resistance on his entire squad, so a little bit of a head scratcher there for Arctic. What if he just stays in and goes for the obvious T-Bolt? I don't understand why he went for the Donphan there, but it might come back to bite him because now Tauros is really going wild here. Donphan's going to protect, and there's no reason not to, but doesn't solve the problem. Double Edge would still kill him there. Goes for the 50-50 protect coin flip. Does not get the flip. This is kind of unraveling for Arctic here. Magneton doesn't survive either. This is all kind of a domino effect. What if he had just stayed in and Thunderbolted there? Wow, this is really unraveling. Tauros did a ton of damage there. It finally kills itself with recoil, but at what cost? Arctic's team is in shambles right now. Overheat there with the reduction. Espeon should be able to live another, but apparently that's got to be physical. It's got to be hidden power flying, which is a cute little combo. Yeah, he's actually a Swords Dance variant. A lot of people don't even realize that Charizard learns that, but here we are. He's Overheat, HP Flying, Swords Dance, Brick Break. Really cool set and seemingly exactly the set that he needs. Couple of boosted Brick Breaks later, Pouring on 2 goes down, and then obviously Miltank at 16% and presumably outsped would also die to the boosted Brick Break. So game 1, well played and well earned by George. Who would have seen that one coming? I really wonder, and I'm sure Arctic had a reason, but I really, really wonder on that one turn why he simply didn't Thunderbolt again with the Magneton. I don't understand what he was going for by going to the Dawn Fan there. He's not playing around an attack. He's not playing around like Thunderbolt or something, because just attacking would do the same thing. It would just kill it, and there would be no attack. I really don't know. I mean, even like Boom, I mean, okay, he gets that Boom Dawn, but again, there would be no Boom if you just attack. He must have been anticipating some kind of switch, but that play is just bizarre, and it really, really cost him there. It would have killed the Regice, and just the whole game, the whole next dozen turns would have been totally different. But the Tauros just went bananas for George, and I mean, this game probably coulda, shoulda, woulda been closer than the scoreboard is going to indicate, but you look at a 4-1 here that would have been a 4-0 had we played just one more turn. George kind of stomps him is the way that it played out, but I don't know that it needed to be that way. I really, really wonder about that one turn from Arctic. Not to mention, I mean, this one is an outplay rather than a head scratcher, but Arctic goes for the substitute with Magneton and gets immediately roared out. That was a really, really good play from George. That one is just like a little bit more coin flippy, and George just had a really big sack in order to stay in and do that. But the one that I think might objectively be wrong is not staying in and Thunderbolting against the Regice. And maybe, I don't know if Arctic watches these videos, but maybe he'll pop up in the comments section and let me know. But that one definitely stands out to me as a little curious. Regardless, it's a best of 3, so what happened in Game 1 does not have to determine the whole series. Arctic has to rattle off 2 in a row for his place in the finals. George will have 2 opportunities to make it his spot in the finals instead. And here is Game 2. Players in the same position. Arctic on the bottom, George, Alka Hooligans on the top. Starmie lead, Arrow lead, neither one comfortable with it. We end up with Lax on Hypno, and Focus Punch is going to be unremarkable, even if it connects through power, which it does, only 26%. The T-Wave probably gives George the better end of that exchange. Registeel comes in, simply goes for an S-Toss. 33% to Glalie, sure, as it spikes up. Glalie, of note, does not have leftovers. Perhaps it has Lum or some kind of Pinch Berry. Sometimes it runs Salic and gets a last-ditch Boom off or something along those lines. And that unboosted Body Slam is going to do 75% to Houndoom. Does get a full para, but will still die unless he gets a crit or another para here, which is not the case, so Body Slam takes him out. So the first lead for Arctic, but Lax is pretty damn close to dead at just 13%, and he's going to switch it up and go for Hidden Power rather than the obvious Thunderbolt, and it pays huge dividends. Thunderbolt would have done nothing into Jolteon. Instead, he crits Hidden Power for 64%. Pretty huge difference there between Thunderbolting and going for Hidden Power. So George has made some really good predictions so far this series when they really count. Now, let's not miss the fact that Wish got past to Lax, so that guy's back in action again, but costed him the entire Jolteon in order to do that. Granted, he did get a Toxic off on Zapdos, but I would say a Toxic in exchange for a Pokemon almost always favors the person who only got poisoned rather than lost the entire Mon. But as it sits, we've got ourselves a 5-5, and they both have an unrevealed. S-Toss happens again. Looks like Glalie will barely live one more, which is convenient. And there's Spikes number 2, which George has shown no way to remove. There's Spikes number 3. He does live at 1%, and he doesn't have a Pinch Berry, so maybe it really is just Lum. But he gets out of there at 1%. Here comes Flygon. Fire Blast, despite super effective, only 29%, but good thing he did that rather than Earthquake, because Counter there would have rocked his world, so George going to feel a little bit sheepish going for Counter. And repeated Fire Blasts are happening there, but they're not that exciting even when they do hit. And there's the miss factor from last turn, and now the protect factor from this turn. And there's not only a miss, but a miss that's going to cost him 2 PP because of pressure. So this whole Fire Blast plan is going to very quickly go out the window. He protects there, gets a little more toxic damage, but if he thinks that's HP Ice, he must get out of the way. Zapdos BP's out. Hypno apparently going to be the answer to Starmie. And Arctic respects it. Out he goes. Hypno goes for Wish. Can keep it for himself or pass it. Last poke revealed for Arctic is Metagross. Seismic Toss, not a huge deal. Meta does not have leftovers. T-Wave again. Going to be yet more lefties for Arctic, who's done a really good job at nursing his formerly 13% Snorlax all the way back up to where it is now. Focus Punch coming down, thinking there'll be a switch. There's not. It's disrupted by S-Toss. Registeel now, and Arctic not able to pull the trigger on Focus Punch again. Goes for it now, hoping to find full para, but he's disrupted by the S-Toss. He also has to avoid his own full para. Goes for it again, and is disrupted again. Running out of opportunities, can only do that one more time. If he's hit by another Seismic Toss, he's dead, so if he goes for it now, he's just going to hope for full para. And he doesn't try it. He's going to go to Flygon here. Full para kicks in now, which Arctic's got to be rolling his eyes about. Had he gone for Focus Punch there, it might have happened. Starmie going to miss Hydro Pump, but the retaliation is only an S-Toss, which doesn't seem like a huge deal. Going to miss Hydro Pump again, and this time he's going to get T-Waved. Arctic with a couple of not-so-great misses here. I mean, that's what happens when you go Fire Blast over Flamethrower and Hydro Pump over Surf. Sometimes you're going to miss, and this seems to be one of those games, and we'll see if Arctic is able to recover from it and win anyway. Ends up on Flygon on Hypno. Earthquake, blanking as Zapdos comes in, but it is still poison from before. See if Protectress gets an immediate baton pass. No, he did stay in and go for Toxic. We saw Hidden Power, but we don't actually know if it's Ice yet. Well, that doesn't matter when he switches it up and goes to Thunderbolt. Starmie promptly deleted. And now Glalie comes in. He must have been pretty confident that Glalie was faster than Zapdos there. Regardless, Ice Beam not a lot to Registeel, and Explosion honestly not that much better, just 25%. Earthquake now very well may kill though, regardless of the presence of counter on the other side. But he's still not comfortable with it, and he goes for Fire Blast only to be protected. That might be his last blast there. He gets him for 29% as full para kicks in. You got to go for Earthquake now, right? And he does, but the protect happens. He might be out of blast. It says he's got 2, but I don't know if he actually does. Don't remember how many of them. At least one was into Zapdos. I don't remember if a second one was or not, but he might be out. There's BP to Hypno on a protect turn. Toxic coming down is good for Arctic, who is definitely behind right now, 3-5. Earthquake there blanking on Zapdos, sure. Protect again. And that Hidden Power, we still don't actually know that it's Ice, but if it is, Flygon will be devastated by it. And that doesn't tell us anything, because whether it's Ice or Grass, either one would be resisted by Meta here. It's going to survive at 1%. And it's going to rest with Lumberry to get itself good as new. Zapdos out of the way. Here comes Registeel at just 14% now as Agility comes down. But he has rest, so we know he can't have all of Meteor Mash, Earthquake, Rock Slide. He's got to be giving up something. T-Wave there is going to be pretty bad for him. A full power there would have helped a lot, but the T-Wave basically going to negate the bonus of the Agility, not to mention the full power possibility. He does connect with Mash, though, through Imperfect Accuracy and full para, so there's something. Flygon going to get the bad news that he clicked Double Edge there. He was hoping to come into Earthquake or Rock Slide, but no such luck. Double Edge feels pretty obvious in hindsight. There really wasn't any switch for that from Arctic Seat, so I think maybe he should have just let the Metagross go. But yeah, his Flygon kind of taking a beating now. He did land Toxic on Arrow, but man, he's going to have to fodder some stuff. Or that, or just let the Flygon go. 50-50 double protect doesn't work out. I think he's really in some trouble now. Full power from Lax, who tries to go first. So Lax apparently also had protect. And Meta sure doesn't, so Double Edge is just going to wrap it up. Gotta wonder what would have happened there if he had just let the Metagross go. I still think that Arctic was behind, but certainly the way that it played out by switching the Flygon into Double Edge, it was going to be really, really hard, and he would have to rely on coin flip protects and protects through para and all that to have any chance at all. I think he made it harder on himself than he needed to. I think that you let the meta go there, then you go Flygon into Arrow, and you let it play out. And I think the Flygon would have had an okay chance to win, especially, I mean, we never did find out, but especially if the Zapdos really wasn't HP Ice. Like, what if it really is just HP Grass? It's poisoned. We know it can't get rid of that poison. It's half dead. Hypno's also poisoned and can't get rid of it and isn't really going to beat the Flygon, especially with Protect. I can't help but wonder. I think that Arctic had a decent chance to win that game if instead of switching Flygon into Arrow, he had simply let the meta die, then go to Flygon, then click Toxic, and play it out from there. I really wonder if it would have been different. I think there's a chance that it might have been. But nevertheless, I mean, even if that sequence had happened, even if Arctic were to win this game, it would have just sent us to a Game 3, and who knows what happens there. So, certainly not comfortable saying that Arctic threw the series. I think that's a bridge too far, but I do think with the Magneton in the first game, had he Thunderbolted, could have been different, and I think if he lets the Metagross go in this one, could have been different. But shoulda, woulda, coulda, just does not matter. George has played really, really well and looked like a very worthy finalist throughout this whole tournament, and indeed, he is our first finalist. So Arctic is going to go down into the third place match against the yet to be determined winner of the loser of the other semifinal, which on YouTube in real time is going to be what I bring you next. And yeah, and then obviously we're going to have coverage of the final draft, the third place draft, and those matches, and then that'll be the tournament. But like I said, not too late to contribute if you feel like donating. And an even easier contribution, if you'd like, is to just hit that like button real quick. I'd appreciate that, and I will see you guys in the next video.